And we are live, queuing up the theme song, Reality Spirituality.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man.
Fashionably late.
Got a question for RLM?
What a diva.
It's time to get some answers, baby. Oh, now we getting real. It's time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good.
And she's fashionably late. It is 9:05, the class. The show starts when I walk in. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist. That's right, I said Global Happiness Specialist, Inner Peace Practitioner, Oracle, Reiki practitioner, fitness instructor, author, speaker. Who cares? But most importantly, a student. Most importantly, a student, ongoing student. And the class never ends. The class is never over. There are no breaks. There's no lunch. There's no vacation. When I say happiness specialist, what the gall, the nerve, what exactly do I mean? Well, thanks for asking. When I say happiness, I'm talking about, forget the word, I'm talking about a personal vibration, a personal energy, an energy of peace, contentment, an energy of balance, an energy that just flows, an energy that is easy. An energy that it's easy. And so, my definition of happiness is the ability to maintain and sustain and vibrate a personal energy of peace and contentment, regardless of what happens. Regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. Happiness is defined by the ability to vibrate an energy of peace and contentment, regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. And it is a practice. Happiness, contentment, inner peace are all practiced skills. And that's the good news. And if I can do it, you can do it. But it comes down to how much or how much value do you place? How much value and importance do you place on your own personal energy? And how much value do you place on contentment, happiness, peace? And again, the challenge is the problem is the programming, and we have all been programmed for unhappiness. That's right. Oh, what? Here we go. We've all been programmed for unhappiness, and the programming is deep, and the programming is ongoing, and the programming, for the most part, 98% of the population, this is on Amazon, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. And in this book, I list 56 program behaviors that subtract from your happiness. And I also list 26 or 27, 26 behaviors that, when practiced, add to happiness. And what I like to share at the beginning of each show is there is a very famous study done by a hospice nurse. You can Google it. It's called The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying. And it was done by a hospice nurse. And she asked her patients that had a limited amount of time to live, days, months, weeks. And she asked them what were their 5 biggest regrets. Well, the 5th biggest regret is, I wish I would have let myself be happier. I wish I had been happier. I don't know about you, but that is a powerful statement. That is a powerful revelation that at the end of this life, at the end of this human life, that people weren't asking about money, the titles, all of the legacy. Nobody, no one was talking about that or those things. It was, I wish I would have let myself be happier. And that's why, if you ask me, and you did, and that's why the foundation, the practice to be rooted in the foundation of peace, the foundation, be rooted in contentment, be rooted in peace. But it's not an easy practice. And the reason why is because 98% of the population, the world doesn't value. Oh, happiness. Oh God. And even there's even a argument between happiness and joy and which is better. Well, happiness is just fleeting. No, it is an energy that I'm focusing on. It is a personal energy that can be sustained, that can be maintained. I know I've said it more than once, but this can be maintained and sustained with practice. And then everything else in life is going to happen. Ups and downs, roundabouts, blind sides, baseball bat to the back of the head. This life is like a roller coaster. But the practice is how do you eliminate the programming? And the programming is the cause of the suffering. The programming is the cause of the judgments. And so that's why the focus is on the programming. Today's show, don't tell anybody, but in 2 months, I'm going to be 70 years old. Don't tell anybody. 70 years old. And it is a number. And for the last 45, 50 years, the practice has been, the question was always, how do I stay happy? Is it even possible? And again, it is a practice and it is possible. So getting back to the title of today's show, which is Recognizing the Noise versus Peace. And how I define and describe the noise is all of that stuff that's going on inside of my head. And I'm sure you too. The thoughts, the stories, the conclusions, the analyzing, the theories, the contemplation. But when I am using, and I'm using, when I say I am doing this, when Rebecca is using the mind to figure out even the smallest analogy, know that the mind, my mind, your mind is limited. Talk about limited perspectives. How many times have you been able to put a judgment on it, put a preference, and then come up with, oh, you know what? There's another way I can look at this. In fact, let me give you an example. I was talking to one of the gentlemen at the gym, and he's 86. And he was sharing a story about he was married for 35 years, and then he had a girlfriend for about 20 years. And they both died of cancer. And so he was telling me that at the end of the wife's life, he said, I spent probably a year taking care of my wife. And then the girlfriend followed and after about 3 years later. And he said, and I took care of her. She had cancer too. And of course, both of these women died. And he said, yeah, it was very sad. Back up a little bit. I forgot to mention this. When he was sharing the story about his wife and his girlfriend, he said, I have never felt so much joy. The relationship was joyful. The relationship was, he says, I've never felt more fulfilled. And he has children. He didn't say that about his children, but he said that about his wife and his girlfriend, that he was blessed. It was the relationship was enjoyable. He just, And I don't hear that often. I don't hear the testimony of, wow, I'm having a joyful relationship, and oh, what a blessing. Usually the program relationships, and know that they are program relationships. Usually the program relationships, there's always some kind of conflict, back and forth and back and forth. There's bickering. There's a struggle. There is a need to be right. You know how relationships go. You know how relationships go. Let me say this: program relationships go. But he said that no, it was some of the best times of his life. And when he said sad, I questioned. I said, well, what was sad? That they died? He said it was just sad the way they left the cancer. Both of them had cancer, I guess different types of cancer. And that was his memory. That was, scratch the memory, that was how he told the story at the end. He did say it was joyful, but at the end he said, but it was sad. And I said, well, can you come up with another perspective? Can you give me another perspective other than the perspective of it was sad? And this is where the programming digs its heels in, digs, it gets a grip. Can you come up with another word? It's been, I don't know how many years it's been, maybe 3 or 4 years. Why are you, and I'm just questioning, I'm just asking, no judgment, I'm just asking, why are you holding on to this energy, this word, it was sad, when in the same breath you said how blessed you were, how the relationships just, he also said that he saw other people, other couples, and they weren't too happy. I mean, most of the time, if you get the husband away from the wife, he's complaining about her. And then you get the wife away from the husband, she's complaining about him. But it wasn't like that in their relationship, in either one. And I said, how can you come up with, can you give me another word other than that? And that word sad has an energy behind it. Can you give me another word other than sad? And he struggled. And he struggled because he has been using that word with that energy. It was really sad. That it was so sad. Can you feel the difference? I know you can feel the difference. And what I share on this show is your energy behind the words. It's not the words that are powerful. It's the energy behind the words. It's the energy that is attached to the word that is powerful. It was so sad. And so he was stuck. He was stuck. And I said, can you offer another way of looking at what he's been describing for years as sad? And guess what, my dear audience? He couldn't. And I grilled him, but he couldn't. He couldn't come up with another description. And that is the programming. That is what the mind is limited. It's so limited. It is only going to offer one perspective, especially, hang on a second, where is this? Especially if that's all you're using to conclude. How can you analyze something? How can you analyze? How can you theorize? How can you conclude with only using one perspective? Unless you're a scientist and you're coming up with a formula. How can you conclude with just one perspective? Can you see? Can you feel? Can you understand, comprehend how limited that is. But I don't know about you. No one taught me, hey, come up with another perspective if you're stuck. With another perspective if you feel challenged. Come up with another perspective if your energy is shifting from here to here. Huh? Come up with another perspective. Well, does not compute. I do not compute. I do not understand. I do not compute. The practice is not to just use this mind to interpret reality, because the response is always going to be a programmed response, a programmed reaction. This mind's interpretation has nothing to do with reality. It is a limited, so small, limited. Look at this photo, look at this painting behind me. It is limitless. So pretend that this painting is the universe. And this is my mind right here. Here we go. Let's find the smallest spot. Let me see, go this way. Yeah, go this way. The smallest spot. That's the comprehension. That's the limitation of the mind. The practice is to trust, believe, know that everything is unfolding, everything is happening, is the best. I know, I get a lot of, believe it or not, I get a lot of disgruntled listeners and or followers and or students. I don't want to say followers that challenge me with that. But there are no exceptions with when I rely on the limited perspective of this mind. It is like living in a small closet, dark closet with no light. So it's the mind, the ego, the incessant thoughts is not who I identify with at all anymore. It is really entertainment. The thoughts, the stories, the reactions, the conclusions are entertainment at this point. And why? Let me share this one. I don't know if you, yeah, okay. This is offered free. And this woman, her name is Barbara Berger, Barbara Berger, Berger. And it's free on the internet. It's called The Mental Laws, Understanding the Way the Mind Works. The Mental Laws, Understanding the Way the Mind works. And again, it is a free download online. It is an important practice to understand and to realize the identity takeover that the mind uses to let me just speak for myself, trick me into thinking that I am the mind, I am the thoughts. And to trick me into identifying with it, without my voice, without my behavior, without my conclusions. The mind is powerless. There was a great analogy the other day that I heard. They were talking about music. And say the music is staccato. And so between each note, there is a space. There is emptiness. There is a silence. Be just a little, just a tick, just a tick. And in that silence is reality. In that silence is the true identity. In that silence is awareness, is presence, is the soul, is the spirit. That's where that entity can be found. And when I start practicing more of just witnessing the noise and feeling and experiencing the silence in between the noise, just in between the noise, that is where I practice living now. This world, this world is all noise. All noise. It never shuts up. And the noise, and you know what I'm talking about when I say noise. And the noise can be someone speaking, noise can be horn honking, but the noise, living beyond the noise, living underneath the noise. It's just like the ocean. On the surface of the ocean, waves are crashing, winds are blowing, but at the bottom of the ocean, it's complete darkness. It's complete silence. In fact, I think some of the animals, some of the fish at the bottom of the ocean don't even have eyes, or they can't see. It's dark and it's quiet. And there's a big difference from the surface to the surface to the bottom. And the practice is living at the bottom, where there is nothing other than peace. Again, it's a practice, and it's not an easy practice. But back recognizing the noise versus peace. None of the concepts are easy to grasp, are easy to practice without diligence, without continuing, without taking a break. It is not especially coming from the noise, especially coming from this place of programming, especially coming from the place where the majority of the world lives. And in fact, doesn't even realize that there is someplace else to reside. But let me get back to my friend at the gym who couldn't come up with another perspective other than sad. Because one of the things that he said was, now that I'm thinking about it, now that you are questioning me about coming with another word, another energy other than sad, now that you're questioning me, I think what I was really saying is it was sad for me. I felt sad that the two women, the two loves of his life were dying, and they were dying and died. And so he did say that I felt sad. Maybe I'm describing myself feeling sad. And now we're getting closer to the truth. When I say truth, I'm talking about universal truth. And then I questioned him and I said, sad? So sad for you? That's still one perspective, holding on this perspective of it was sad. Is there another way to look at two relationships that brought so much joy, so much fulfillment, so much expression, so much stimulation, so much happiness, so much joy, so much, I said fulfillment already. Is there another way to look at it other than when it's over, it's sad? But that is the programming of this world. When something ends, and in human form, it is, something is always going to be over. It's always going to end. And what doesn't end is, and what is eternal is universal, God, source, creation, creator. That is never ending. But in this human dimension, yes, things never stay the same. Something always ends. Eventually, even our sun that's going to be burning bright for who knows how many more millions, billions years, but it's going to end too. But is that going to be, but you see the programming, it's sad. The other perspective, and there are many more than just the one I'm going to offer. The other perspective is, wow, I've experienced more, or I've experienced what most have not. I have experienced with two people, two loves of his life, two people. But the noise will say it's sad. And the noise meaning the programming will say it ended, and endings are sad. And I'm here to say there's another way. There's another practice. There is another, in fact, more than one, plenty more than one ways to come up with any type of conclusion about what has been experienced. And I asked him, I said, why are you focusing on, because now we're having a conversation, why are you focusing on a quote unquote, what the world says is a loss, as opposed to focusing on the gift, the gain, the gift of something that is so unique. I look out there, you look out there, relationships are constantly, I used to live like that. Oh my goodness. I don't remember having a peaceful relationship when I was programmed ever. There is no peace found in the programming. There is no peace found using the mind. So recognizing where the noise is coming from, recognizing what the intention of the noise is, which is always to have a level of discontent, is the practice. It is the practice. You know, I was just know that the mind is very limited. It can't come up with anything other than one perspective, the mind, the ego, whatever you want to call it. And it depends on the person, and it depends on each individual to consciously choose. When I say consciously choose, or consciously be aware that either you are behaving or using because of a program or not. The programming is not freedom, is not freeing either. You know what else I was looking at? This last week, I don't know, week, 2 weeks, Diane Keaton, I remember Diane Keaton from Annie Hall. She was a very famous actress, and she's a very good actress. And then Robert, I was, because I was looking up death, recent deaths. Robert Redford, I know Robert Redford died. Val Kilmer died. I know, of course, Malcolm Jamar Warner. My point is this: no one knows how much time I have, how much time you have, and the time spent either I am surrendering to the unfolding of the universal plan. In fact, I was listening to a Alan Watts video this morning, and he was saying that the goal, well, he didn't say the goal, but the intention is to, people are chasing, whatever, money, legacy, titles, which is no judgment. But there is going to be a time when you realize that the goal, the ultimate, is vibrating peace. Just like when you came into the planet, same, vibrating the energy of peace. Is it possible to maintain and sustain that vibration? Is it possible to maintain and sustain an energy of contentment, regardless of what happens? Yes, it is possible with practice. Let me just look over my notes and make sure I covered everything. Again, using your mind, using the thoughts to interpret reality, know that the response, the reaction, especially if you just go right into it, you know how you feel when it's triggered or there's a button pushed, is always due to a programming. Practicing living in the present moment, there is no programming. And so I know that when I'm, when I respond like robotically, it's because of a program. You have it, I have it. And peace is putting a light on all of the programs. And again, in my latest book, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. This is on Amazon. The latest book, I list 56 program behaviors. 56. That's a lot of programming. Also in the book, I list 26 not program behaviors, but behaviors to practice that will allow you to experience more contentment, more peace. Wow, what a class! What a class! What a show! Recapping. Do not trust the noise. Do not believe the noise. Do not allow. Scratch that. Scratch the do not. Practice witnessing all of the noise, and know that the noise and the chatter is an illusion to reality. We're in a dimension here. We're living in this dimension, human dimension, and the God, the universe, source wants to experience this contrast. And there's always some kind of contrast. But universally, there's just peace. Where do you want to live? What do you want to identify with? The real or the illusion? It's not easy. It's not easy living in a programmed world. It's not easy. It is a challenge. However, the practice is to transcend the thoughts, transcend the ego, transcend the mind, and live in a place where God lives. Well, that's all of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality Radio is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. And now Reality Spirituality is Well, it is live on YouTube. Before the shows used to be just audio. Now we're doing video and audio. Ooh, coming up, coming up. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com. Follow me on X at RL Norrington. LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn. My Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. YouTube channel, I'm so pleased with the progress of the YouTube channel, getting a lot more engagement. And I'm not going to say a lot more views, but engagement. And I just love my friend who's working on the YouTube channel and assisting me with getting more. But people are organically finding the show. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. That was published in 2014. But my latest book, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth, is also on Amazon. But in this book, I list 56 program behaviors that subtract from a person's happiness. Until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You are a physical extension of the universe, of source, your conscious energy, having a human experience. You're always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself by accepting every moment. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, global happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, but most importantly, a student. Just like all of us, remember, happiness, inner peace, are practice skills. And I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you're going to find. And your experience in every moment reflects on what you practice. Later, alligators. Until next week, have a conscious week.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. You got a question for RLM? It's time to get some answers, baby.
Oh, now we getting real. Get down now.
Together you gonna feel good now. Get real good. Together.